everybody around and tell them what to do, and they just get to act a fool. Free Beyonce.
Y'all, we love y'all. We want y'all to get it right, at least get it close to right. And obviously it's subjective. Y'all don't gotta clap at every.
They've built their empire by keeping tight-lipped, but what happens when the silence finally shatters? The whispers around Beyonce and Jay-Z are getting louder than ever. And this time, it ain't about music, money, or red carpet glam. It's betrayal, legacy, and a secret so wild it might blow up the entire Carter dynasty. Court whispers and legal docs suggest that a judge may have ordered Jay-Z to take a DNA test after a 31-year-old man named Rymir Satterthwaite, who looks uncannily like the rap icon, claims he's the love child of a secret fling from the early 90s. If that DNA test says what Rymir's been shouting for over a decade, we're not just talking about adding a name to a birth certificate.
I wanted to find out who my father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different.
We're talking about the possible collapse of the most tightly guarded marriage in the industry, and word on the street, Queen Bey might already be slipping off her crown. Behind the velvet curtain, sources say she's been prepping for a smooth exit, silently, smartly, maybe even for years. Jet watchers and real estate insiders have noticed suspicious moves. Solo flights booked under alias names tied to her team, secret property deals in Malibu and Paris, and bodyguards quietly pulled from Jay-Z's security detail. One veteran guard even said she's been training for independence like it's an Olympic sport. That's not just space, that's a full-on pullback. And let's be real, this is Beyonce we're talking about. She doesn't wing it, especially when billions are at stake, 3 kids are watching, and her image is a global force.
Just about me. If I gotta fight for all of us, I will, but I won't let the court systems just walk over me. I won't let Jay-Z, I won't let no one just walk over me and tell me something because y'all just saying this. I want the truth. And if we can't go to the Supreme Courts, the regular courts, to find out the truth, what are they here for?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the legal things that you've been through, the battles.
Let's talk symbols, because with Beyonce, her symbols scream louder than any press release. Fans have obsessed for years over that 4 tattoo on her ring finger, perfectly matching Jay's. It was their secret code for birthdays, wedding dates, even fate itself. But lately, that tattoo has straight up vanished. Laser faded, airbrushed in pics, and now completely missing. These days, her left hand sparkles with designer ice, but none of it nods to the past. And for a woman who treats her Instagram captions like scripture, that missing ink wasn't some random change, it was a silent goodbye. While some stands chalked it up to a fashion glow-up, insiders are calling it exactly what it looks like, a bold message, and the tea only gets hotter. Multiple sources tied to the legal web around the Satterthwaite case are now talking about a so-called separation simulation.
So at what age then did you start to question, who your parents could be?
Well, I wouldn't say I started to question it, but I said around like 7, maybe 6. And I think it started at 6. And my mom was just telling me that my father wasn't my father. But as a kid, I really didn't look.
One entertainment attorney connected to Roc Nation spilled that Beyonce's team kicked off a full-blown legal firewall plan way back in 2021. We're talking offshore trust firms being vetted, separate home leases secured for her and the kids, and even a whole second legal crew, not for business contracts, but for family law. Yup, divorce prep. And not the panicked kind, the chess move kind. This wasn't about reacting to the paternity drama. This was Beyonce getting ready before the storm even hit. Strategic, no doubt.
My mom was at a show and she was with a friend. And I guess her and her friend stayed to, after the show, he was doing little signings and little autographs and stuff like that. I guess he wasn't too big, but I guess females, when the show's over, you can sign little autographs and stuff like that, talk to the people who perform. She said she went up there.
She didn't just expect the chaos, she might have seen it coming all along. Which brings us back to Rymir. And this dude is way more than just a tabloid headline. He's a grown man who spent most of his adult life begging Jay-Z to just acknowledge him. His mom, Wanda, filed official papers. His guardians went through court battles trying to get legal standing, but every time they knocked, doors mysteriously slammed shut. Sealed files, sketchy delays, legal red tape everywhere. It's been a one-man fight against a billionaire with an army of top lawyers, until now. Somewhere in the middle of the latest legal storm, something slipped, and now it looks like a judge, still unnamed, has officially demanded Jay-Z take a DNA test. And Beyonce?
All appears calm and normal until Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister, lunges at her brother.
Word is, she's done waiting to see how he plays this out. Insiders say the trust is shattered, not just because of what Rymir might prove, but because of how deep the whole thing was buried. Turns out, Beyonce may have known about the rumors years back, but only recently found out how far Jay-Z's team allegedly went to bury it.
Anything, so why wouldn't I believe my mom? Like, you know, we could have been settled this, and it only takes a conversation and some words, you know. I'm not a hateful guy. I don't hate anyone. I'm not after nobody. I'm not trying to see no one downfall, but this is just some, you know, some things that just went through court, and they just expected me to just sit there and just take what they were saying.
Now here's the real shocker. Whispers from two ex-Rock Nation execs and a paralegal tied to the New Jersey case say Jay-Z's legal team may have offered favors or backdoor deals to a court figure linked to Rock Nation, all to get Rymir's case tossed out on a technicality. That story hasn't hit mainstream headlines yet, but it's spreading like wildfire in the legal circles of the music world. If even a slice of it's true, it's explosive. We're not just talking personal betrayal. This could look like a full-blown attempt to silence someone for the sake of keeping a billion-dollar image clean, and Beyonce, the face of empowerment, healing, and motherhood, she could suddenly be seen as the quiet bystander. That's a bad look for the woman who turned pain into lemonade. At some point, silence stops looking noble and starts looking calculated. But how long can you stay quiet before the world demands answers? Meanwhile, their public appearances are starting to feel eerie.
10 years ago, they say this was a party for Diddy's son, King Combs, but all the names involved here are huge. Huge. Talking Beyonce, Jay-Z, LeBron James. Now, all of those people are just witnesses, according to this lawsuit.
Separate entrances at fancy galas, stiff smiles with zero affection. It's giving business partners, not lovers. At a recent family dinner in LA, they sat at opposite ends of the table, barely said a word to each other, surrounded by PR handlers like it was a press event, not a night out. And when Beyonce brought Blue Ivy to Jay-Z's big exhibition opening in Brooklyn, she rolled up in a different car, gave a camera-ready grin, and dipped before the after-party even started. One staffer from the event didn't hold back. They said she looked like a woman doing a job, not a wife honoring her man. That hit hard. It's the kind of rift you don't clock until you look back and realize the magic's gone. Now fans are deep diving into old clips, lyrics, even tour footage, hunting for the signs. Like that awkward moment at the Renaissance film premiere. Jay-Z leaned in for a kiss, and Bey just slightly turned, leaving him with a kiss on the cheek instead. People are even dissecting her stage looks, switching out her usual blues and blacks for icy silvers and bold golds, rocking diamonds on every finger but no wedding ring in sight.
He took them to some apartment building, and you know, they did what they did in there, you know, talked a little bit, had a good time, party, and I guess you know, I can't fully talk as my mom because I'm not my mom. I'm just telling you guys what she told me. It was just, and I honestly just believe her, you know. It's just no.
And when she swept award season, she gave props to her fans, her family, her team, but not a single word about her husband, not even a shout out. And while Jay-Z's juggling a whole new wave of lawsuits, some tied to the alleged paternity case and others way more serious, with whispers of shady dealings and cover-ups, Beyonce looks like she's already halfway out the door, her team's clamping down tight, brushing off divorce rumors, reposting old family pics to calm the storm. But behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. This has all the marks of a carefully planned exit: polished photos, distant body language, and a quiet identity shift. No more Mrs. Carter, just Beyonce. And for those wondering if this is just a rough patch, a trusted source from her Houston circle says she's already met twice with a major family law attorney who specializes in high-stakes, low-drama splits.
So there would presumably be people who could verify it or say it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. You're right. When you mention all those people, they may all have alibis.
Well, Jay-Z certainly seems to have one.
Yeah.
So Jay-Z has mentioned that he's there with Beyonce, but we know that Jay-Z was in New York.
Yes.
The night that it was supposed to be. Now,
the night of King Combs of his birthday, which happens.
That ain't just smoke. There might be fire under this one. This isn't rumor. This is receipts on the calendar. And if that court-ordered DNA test ends up confirming what Rymir's been claiming since way back in 2010, then Beyonce's exit won't just be personal, it could go political. Because let's be real, she's tied her name to justice reform, women's power, and standing up for what's right. Staying quiet beside a man with these kinds of accusations?
Mr. Diddy, aka Mr. Love. Now, Dr.
No, Sean Carter.
That might not fly anymore. And don't forget, this isn't just about a paternity test. This is about legacy. Jay-Z and Beyonce didn't just marry, they built a myth, the Bonnie and Clyde of the music world, the gold standard for power couples. But if the whispers are real, if there's bribery, betrayal, and a kid whose only mistake was being born, then the whole Carter empire could be teetering on the edge. And the fuse, it might have already been lit, because the rumors about a judge being swayed, those aren't coming from gossip sites. They're coming from insiders, people who were in the room. We don't know yet if that story will explode in public, but if it does, it won't just shift headlines. It could flip the whole narrative upside down. Meanwhile, the silence from Beyonce's camp is getting louder by the day, but underneath that cool, flawless front is something way more serious than heartbreak. If this breakup goes fully public, and signs say it already is, just behind the scenes, the fallout won't be about who keeps the Bel Air estate or who wins the Instagram followers.
I got older and my mom just continued to say the same thing, and she never changed the name. Like, you know, she always was staying with the same name. I'm like, well, Mom, why? Like, as I got to 16, 17, I'm like, Mom, you've been saying this since I was a kid. So it's like, now my mom never lied to me, so why not?
It'll be about what gets exposed. What started as one man chasing paternity, truth, could crack open a vault of sealed documents, ignored subpoenas, and a bunch of names popping up way too often in all the wrong places. Places now tied to active federal investigations. We pulled Jay-Z's Gulfstream jet records using a civil aviation tracker, and what turned up only raises more eyebrows.
I really would want to find out because, you know, in the future.
One ex-Rock Nation insider confirmed that Jay's private jet landed in Miami just days before one of Sean Diddy Combs' infamous freak-off weekends reportedly went down. Another log shows Jay-Z's jet touching down at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, the same launch pad used to fly VIPs up to Diddy's upstate mansion. Yeah, that mansion, now under investigation for some seriously disturbing accusations involving forced misconduct. So why was Jay-Z's jet at those locations during those weekends? Coincidence or calculated proximity? A former Rock Nation staffer, speaking anonymously out of fear, didn't sugarcoat it. Jay knew what went down at Diddy's parties. Everyone invited did. You didn't show up to those weekends by accident, and you didn't bring your own team. You used theirs on purpose. If that's true, this ain't just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's logistics. It's a breadcrumb trail. And reportedly, Beyonce's known about this for months, maybe even years. If that's the case, her silence isn't just about saving face. It's looking more like a calculated move to keep herself shielded from a much wider fallout. And let's be real, Beyonce has always used silence like a weapon. She speaks in code, through visuals, body language, and carefully chosen disappearances.
We just fought it. Like, it was never to chase anyone or make anyone feel like, you know, we just trying to come up with a plan to take your money. I don't want your money. That's not what I'm here for. I'm really here to just find the truth out. And it seemed like that was just so hard to do in these courts. Like, these courts are...
When she erased that 4 tattoo, it wasn't some quick decision. That Roman numeral represented their birthdays, their wedding, their whole mythology. Wiping it away wasn't just closure. It was a symbolic ritual, a reverse funeral for a marriage that the world still thought was rock solid. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. That ink fading was her statement. Quiet, sharp, and chilling. It didn't begin with the latest scandal. Beyonce had already started revealing cracks in her world through quiet, calculated changes. Remember that pixie cut in 2013? At the time, folks shrugged it off as a bold fashion moment. But now, stylists close to her inner circle say it was no casual switch-up. It was timed exactly to drop after her tour. It wasn't about hair, it was about shedding layers. That cut was a message. Haircuts, ring removals, ice-cold body language on red carpets that used to feel warm. These weren't random choices, they were moves of control. When your words are picked apart and twisted, you let your body speak. And Beyonce's been speaking loud lately without saying a thing.
Felonies, I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, you know, I don't want to see him go down for something that, you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
During the Renaissance era, her whole image shifted. Glitzy, but distant. Bold, but guarded. What we're seeing is a woman stepping fully into her own power. Not just drifting from a man, but breaking free from the whole Carter fairy tale. She stopped performing power couple perfection. This is Beyonce, solo, and unstoppable. Every appearance since has echoed that same energy. The mourning, that happened off camera. The vows, already burned. What she's preparing for now is rebirth, and not the soft kind. This is precise, planned, and already in motion. And then there's Remir, still at the heart of this storm. A man who says, in court documents and media interviews, that all he's ever wanted was the truth. But sources familiar with the case say he's been more than ignored. He's been targeted. In the months before his latest legal filing, insiders claim Remir got multiple anonymous phone calls warning him to back off. And here's where it gets messy. At least 2 of those calls were traced to digital numbers connected to an internal list at a major LA PR firm. The same firm Beyonce's team uses for damage control and media strategy.
That anybody can find. Sure. But what happened once he got into this party at Diddy's house is outrageous. And I know we're supposed to take every lawsuit seriously because we don't know, we weren't there. The Gloria Estefan part, that's just the start. How Beyonce gets...
That's not a random scare tactic. That's pressure with a return address. Let's just ask it straight. Why would Beyonce's team ever need to track, let alone contact, the alleged son of a man she's never claimed as family? Why would her crisis PR squad be circling a paternity case filed by someone labeled a stranger? Unless that stranger was way closer to her world than we were supposed to know. If Beyonce had truly stayed out of this, why is her name reportedly popping up in the metadata of legal emails tied to the case? A former paralegal who briefly worked with a firm connected to the matter claimed she was directly told, "Don't mention the singer. We're not supposed to name her in emails." That's not just keeping your distance. That sounds like cover and control, and it gets deeper. Legal watchdogs reviewing court filings have flagged all kinds of sketchy irregularities, missing timestamps, court dates that were never scheduled, entire affidavits sealed without reason. Not to mention, multiple court clerks in New Jersey got reassigned during the time Remir's filings were allegedly misfiled or stalled. One judge, whose name shows up in both Remir's paperwork and in unrelated Roc Nation business contracts, just dipped out. Quiet retirement, no press, no statements, just gone. If this is a cover-up, it's not a simple favor. This looks like full-scale institutional shielding, a legal machine built not only to protect Jay-Z, but to make sure Beyonce never even had to answer a single question. Now, the story isn't just, is Jay-Z the father? It's something much bigger. It's about the legal weight of that birth. Wanda Satterthwaite, Remir's mother, was reportedly just 16 when she got pregnant. Jay-Z in his early 20s. And if that relationship happened the way it's been alleged, in a state where the age of consent was 17, we're no longer talking just about paternity. This edges toward possible criminal liability. And here's the part no one wants to touch. If Beyonce knew about this years ago, if she was aware that a possible statutory violation sat at the core of her husband's biggest secret and chose silence, what does that mean for the image she sold us, the brand built on strength, healing, and truth? The questions now run deeper than any PR fix can bury. We've been sold Beyonce as the blueprint, a feminist icon, a cultural force, the embodiment of female power and generational healing. But now we're being asked to match that image with a possibility that's hard to swallow, that she may have helped protect a man from facing serious accountability, just to keep the empire intact. So, what is this sudden distance from Jay-Z? A clean break for her soul? Or a perfectly timed move before the whole thing goes nuclear? Because let's be real, court orders don't stay sealed forever. Depositions leak, and if Rymir finally gets that DNA test result he's chased for over a decade, everything could flip in a heartbeat. And it won't just stop at tabloid drama. We're talking new lawsuits, old cases getting reopened, and if those sealed records crack open, documents that might show financial transfers, behind-the-scenes memos, maybe even direct emails between legal teams and PR fixers, this won't just be about a broken marriage. This will be about the unraveling of a pop culture dynasty that survived everything except the truth. So now we gotta ask you, what happens if that DNA test proves Jay-Z is the father? What if that truth exposes not just betrayal, but a possible crime? And what if Beyonce, the queen of control, knew for years and helped cover it up behind perfume deals, documentary rollouts, and standing ovations? Is she making her exit before it all hits the fan, or is she guarding a secret that's hers too? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone who needs to hear the real story behind the Carter Empire. This ain't over, not by a long shot.